Welcome to episode 47 of On My Studio Table. I'm outside in the late afternoon, so the sun is getting low in the sky and the light is just beautiful. We had a very cold start. We had a big frost this morning, and it is autumn in Tasmania, so we can expect more of that in the future. The wood fire's been going, but I still felt the need to wear a jumper to keep warm today. I'm going to share with you some projects that I finished this week. Some of them have been very long term, at least several months, and it's just a lovely feeling to have completed them, but I will also miss working on them. But that gives me a chance to work on some other things that I need to work on. I have an open studio coming up in June, so I do need to finish some things ready for that. That's a butcher bird in case you could hear that. So enjoy this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I look forward to sharing the past week with you through this video. Last Monday we drove to Scottsdale, and to get to Scottsdale from St Mary's you need to drive through a pass called Weldborough Pass. This is a beautiful rainforest, and you can actually get out of the car and go for a walk in the rainforest itself, which we used to do when we lived not far from here. And as we drove along, it was quite wet. The road was wet. It was misty because we were high enough to be in the clouds, but every now and again there would be a vista that would open up. But we just loved the atmosphere of the man ferns and the trees and the moss and the lichen. It was absolutely beautiful. Eventually you come to a small town called Weldborough. It used to be a very busy place in the 1800s, and there were many Chinese miners that came because of the tin mines in the area. There was a Joss house at Weldborough, and that has now been relocated to the museum in Launceston. And you can still see signs of the fact that there were Chinese people living there. There are some old buildings which used to be part of the pub, providing extra accommodation, I'm guessing, and one of them still has some of the original old signage. So it was just a very atmospheric place to get out and have a bit of a look around. And I loved the sign on the old building where it said that there was a billiard hall, but enter at own risk. And if you look closely, it's right next to the door. It was a beautiful big blackwood tree, and quite old, I think, growing near one of the buildings. And this is one of the ceramic sculptures that is standing outside the pub. They're quite big. I reckon they would be close to 1 metre high. They offer meals too, and there were people there taking advantage of that when we stopped. So if you're ever in Tasmania, it's well worth a look, and the drive is just beautiful. I spent a few days this week, in between other things, in things like sleeping and having a meal and cooking and those sorts of things, and I worked on the binding. I'm not sure if I showed you the final page that I did in the last video. I think I was ready to do it. So I'll just see. That was this one. I did share it on social media. So this one is now finished. And the one that I also had been working on was this one. So all the stitching is now done. And I started the slip knot binding. And because there are so many pages, well, maybe not compared to a novel or something, but there are a lot of pages, it took me quite a while. I also ran out of this colour of wax linen thread, which is called Rust, I think. And this one is called Natural. So I had to finish off round about here and join another piece. And then I ran out of the rust totally, and so I interspersed these two with the natural wax linen thread. And I actually like the effect. It made me think of the fact that we've got earth and water, so visually that seems to work. I also attached beads to all of the endings, so I had knotted ends at the bottom edge because I worked from front to back, and then I also had knots here and around about the center part. I hope you can see that. And so I thought, well, that gives me a lot of ends that I can leave hanging, and I'll just put some beads on. So the little pearl type beads are vintage. They're from a vintage necklace that I've had for quite a long time and still have heaps and heaps of beads left. I think these were beads that I purchased once years ago, and the same with these. And I used different beads on the natural thread. These are faceted black beads. And then we've got the mixture of the white and the black, or very deep blue, I'm not quite sure, on this section. And it just reminds me of water droplets. So I really am happy with how it's all turned out. I'll be keeping this. It won't be offered for sale, partly because the material belongs to the organisation that sent me it as publicity in the mail. So I don't own the images and text on it. I do own the eco-printed papers, of course, that I've used. Vintage sheet music would be out of copyright, so that's fine. But the rest of it is copyrighted, so I don't want to use that for something that I can sell. But there's been so much work in this, I actually feel like I would like to keep it anyway. And I'll do a flip through as a separate video, and I might share that sort of midweek rather than as part of this video. I am going to share another journal that I finished, and I will share the whole thing of that this time. But it would make the video very long, and I know a lot of you do like long videos, but I will keep this one as a separate one. It's a big subject as well. If you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you would have seen a photo of these 3 scrolls, and I said that I would reveal them in today's video. So I will do that. The first one that I made was this one, so we'll start with that. I did show it to you partially done, I think, in a previous video, but what I've done this week is finish them by adding a button and securing the tie, which was only just tied on. I really enjoyed the process of this, and I was going to embellish it further with some embroidery, but after I did the running stitch to secure all the pieces, I actually really liked it how it was, so I didn't do anything else and just left it, and I think it is certainly complete the way it is, especially now that I've added the button. I have a collection of buttons. They're all found buttons, very few new buttons, because you can often find packets of them in thrift stores. And my mum, even when she was alive, used to get them for me if she was in an opportunity shop, which is what we call them here, and would bring me buttons. So I still have some of those as well. And she's been gone since 2001. So I've done a mixture of leftover fabrics from my Comfort coverlet, which is in the background here. The only piece I think in this one that isn't from that is the background that I used, and that is some naturally dyed wool. And it just seemed to be a really good complement to this scroll. And I've attached it to a stick just with a little kind of a whip stitch, I guess. I did fold the edge under first before I attached it to the main part. So that's that one. The next one I did was this one. This one has some cloth twine. The other two have some naturally dyed t-shirt yarn, which was made by our local recycling group and that I used in my dye bundles for the eco dyeing that I do. And I've just done this in the same way. This button was from a garment that I had that was missing a button, I think. So I had to replace all the buttons, so I had a few of these to use. And I like the natural colour, even though it's a plastic button. I did this one a little bit differently. I used cotton, which I dyed with, I think, avocado. Some time ago, left over from something. And then I added scraps from the coverlet, but I also added a few other bits and pieces. For example, this is a bit of a trim from some wool, a wool garment, I think. I think most of the others are from the coverlet. And this is a different colour range, and I really like this as well. It's the other one was more green browns. This one is mostly greys with a touch of other colours, but comparatively quite neutral. So that's that one. And this is the one I've just finished. This is the biggest of them all. So I used a larger button as well. And we had a little poll last week after my video asking you to comment which tie you liked best. And I had this one and another one that was made of silk sari ribbon. And I haven't counted them, but I thought about it a lot. And I think that there were more votes for this, but I need to check to know. And I tried both of them again, and I really felt that this one was probably a better choice. So sorry if you liked the silk one, but I will certainly use it on something else. So again, a background piece. This time I used some naturally dyed cotton that had a checked weave in it that I've used on the back as a foundation of the January section of the coverlet. And again, mainly fabrics left over from the coverlet, but I did add a few others. That's some trim from a knitted top that I altered into a different garment. I'm just trying to see, that's another piece there. But I think most of the rest are leftovers from the coverlet. And I love using the found sticks. We collect sticks for our wood fire, and I just go through them and see which one suits it when I finish a scroll. I am going to sell these, but I have an open studio coming up in June. So they're going to be for sale for that, and I'm saving them for that. And then if they don't sell, they will be listed online. I haven't thought of a price yet, but I will be making more. So if you are interested, just stay tuned, and you might see some more that I make, because I still have scraps and I'm still creating scraps from the coverlet. So that was a very satisfying range of things to work on. I really did enjoy it. And the scrolls are just so lovely. They fit in your hand, even this one that's larger than the others. Just bringing you up to date with the coverlet of comfort that we're doing with Kathryn Cloth Tales. I have attached my April section to the rest of the coverlet so far. So that was the 4th month. And I've started to add some more embellishments also. So I'll just move this so you can see, and I might zoom you in as well. There we go. So my collaged pieces that I did over the last couple of weeks out of scraps, so just go back a couple of videos to find out how I did it. I said that they would be used over the seam line once I'd attach this section to this section to kind of blur the edges a little bit and carry the eye over. So I've started doing that, and I've also added some little stars. Kathryn suggested doing constellations, but I just felt like I wanted to do some scattered stars, so I just used some straight stitches going across each other, and that was the effect that I thought would be good. And I've used up all of my variegated grey stranded cotton. I had just enough. So I've scattered them here and there. And then here I've added a heart, just added that this morning. And on the edge I've pinned some of these collaged shapes ready to overlap into the next section, whatever that will be. Then if I turn it over, you'll see the bottom half. I have taken some photos of the coverlet in its entirety, so I'll share them at the end of this little clip. There's another circle ready to stitch down, and I'm actually using a green pearl cotton, I think it is. When I did the middles of the two big stars, I actually used a variegated burgundy and orange, but I wanted to pick up some of the green in this part of the quilt, and it appears quite regularly. So I've been using that. I'll just fold it back so you can see. So I've been using green on the edge compared to the burgundy and orange there. And then at the bottom is another heart. So I think that's the final arrangement. I've sort of played around them a little bit, with them a little bit. This is another circle here. That's also going to overlap whatever the next section will be. So I've had a lot of fun. There's some more stars, a few more, and a few more down the bottom. The other thing that we've been shown by Kathryn for this week was to do an Algerian stitch or an Algerian star. And it's quite similar to the stars that I've used instead of the constellation prompt. So I'm not sure if I'll add any, but I might. And one of the things that appealed to me about it was that she demonstrated how to do it with an uneven stitch so that you've got a star that's not totally symmetrical. And I rather like that. So I might add a few here and there, maybe in a gold or a yellow colour. I have said before, even though I think I might be finished all the stitching on these sections, you never know. At some point it may sort of say to me that it needs something in a particular spot. So it is a work in progress, possibly longer than for the year that we're actually working on it. And as you know, I don't mind that. I love stitching, love creating, love working with cloth and other materials. I've been trying to think of a way to display my fast fashion journal, which I've also just completed, for exhibition purposes and also just to hold it in a safe way because it's very, very full. And I came across this online, and it's 2 planks of wood, I don't know if you can see that, with a notch cut out at an angle. So from this side, it's angled this way, and then from the other side, it's angled in parallel to that. And then the other one is done the opposite way. Well, when you put them like this, they're not, they're the same. You can see. So what you do is you turn it around and then you slot them together. And I just thought it was such a clever idea. So I'll just show you if I can do it. There we go. And then I have this lovely wooden book stand. It's a bit hard to show you in its entirety, so I'll take some photos and share them of the whole thing. But then when I put my book on it, and this will be very close to the camera because I've zoomed out as far as I can, it holds it really beautifully. Oops. And there it is. So if I tip it, you can see that it's nestled in the V there of the wood, and it just is so good. Very happy with it. So whoever invented it, it was very clever. So here is my fast fashion journal complete. This is the binding that I used, and it's basically pamphlet stitch for all the signatures, and then I wove these strips of eco-printed canvas through the pamphlet stitch and adhered it inside the cover. And it's not as firm as I would like, but I do love the look of it. So I'm not going to cover it up. I'm just going to leave it as it is. It's strong, but it just has a bit of movement in it, which I was hoping that I could reduce. So I'm happy with that. I'm just going to leave it as it is because I love the look of it. And then I have shown you this before. The actual title is hidden underneath this flap. And they are musical terms, allegro meaning fast and dolce meaning quiet or smooth. And I thought because it's about fast fashion and then about the contrast with the lives of those who have to slave away at making these clothes that we only keep for 2-point-something years and then throw away, it says something about their lives in contrast to when we take pride and take our time in what we do. So I'm just going to do a leaf through of this. I'm going to add just a little bit of gentle music just so you can have a look at it. And just have a look at the images and the words and the fact that I've used some vintage images from Madame Weigel's journal from the late 1800s and some sheet music and found objects, cloth and paper. A lot of it's been eco-printed also using leaves and so on from around me here and around my home. Found feathers, I've got a couple of those. So I'll just do that so that you can just enjoy it without me having to say anything.